in order to beat and win a championship, especially when you have to beat elite level quarterbacks, right? A guy like Tom Brady, which Patrick Mahomes has become, you got to be able to get pressure in the paint. And that's what the Giants and the Eagles did so effectively when they beat Tom Brady. They were able to get pressure up the middle. Quarterback can't break, contain, and go outside and make big plays. And that's why the 49ers went and brought Javon Hargrave in.
Hmm.
Coming off that big year where he was a big part of the Philadelphia Eagles going to the Super Bowl, he goes to San Francisco and kind of has career lows, going back to at least far back to his time in Pittsburgh. If new OC Sorensen can get Hargrave to be a double-digit sack guy and playing his best ball going into the playoffs, that gives them a better chance to get that pressure in the paint on, let's just say, Patrick Mahomes. And I
Hmm.
think that's kind of the missing piece in order to knock off a generational type quarterback like Pat Mahomes, is getting that pressure in the middle. Hargrave was brought in to do that, and that didn't happen last year. And I think that's how San Francisco gets over the top. It has to be defensively.
Yeah, I agree. And it's a defense that has enough talent at each level. They should be able to do that, right? But
Yeah.
you need Hargrave, to your point, to help with the push up front because, and Mark Willard brought this up, without Dre Greenlaw available until who knows when, halfway through the season at some point, you need somebody up front to get some added push. And maybe then the linebackers don't have to be counted on to do as much without Greenlaw available and Fred Warner not getting any younger. Let's be honest. Now, sixth, seventh year in the league. And then the secondary also has the playmakers. Brown on the back end, Trevarius Ward at corner. I mentioned Hufanga earlier, able to crash down into the box and almost play as an extra linebacker as well as cover well. You're right. The defense, I think, is the difference this year for San Francisco between being a team that wins 11 games, maybe wins the division, still ends up with a decent seed in the NFC, um, or actually beats that win total, right? Actually gets above that 11 and a half. Maybe goes, as the look ahead spreads would have it right now, ends up going, 12 and 5, 13 and 4, some kind of crazy, best record in the league. That is the difference because we've seen the offense produce. Yes, there was that 3-game lull last year when Debo was out, when Brock Purdy struggled, and that's worth talking about. But I think you're right. The clear delineation between this being an 11 win, we win the West, and we go in as maybe the 1 or 2 seed in the NFC, and that's great. Or no, we are just that dominant behemoth, not just in the NFC, but on either side of the bracket is the defense. So I think that's a really good point. Especially like when you point out there are only 4 games where they're favored by less than a field goal. And each one of those involves, 3 of them involve a very good quarterback. Week 7 at home against Kansas City, week 12 at Green Bay, week 13 the following week at Buffalo, and then week 16 at Miami. We could probably debate Tua's level, and, it's the old Joe Flacco thing. Is he elite? All that. But the first 3, you can't debate. Those are really good in Jordan Love's case, and in Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen's cases, great quarterbacks.
Yeah, and we saw the game against the Packers, right? Jordan Love was tearing them up. But to San
Mm-hmm.
Francisco and to Steve Wilkes' credit, they couldn't score in the red zone. Red zone defense is critical in the postseason, and the 49ers were able to keep the Packers from scoring in the red zone. Packers were going down and getting in the red zone almost every trip. The Niners defense was stiffing up, and you also saw red zone defense and poor play calling, poor game management from Dan Campbell actually help San Francisco get past the Detroit Lions. So you want to rely on less than the Dan Campbell being crazy and and red zone defense. You want to be able to have those things situated so you don't have to worry about that as much. So listen, a very good football team. I can say 11-12 is the right number. I would go under just because the ebbs and flows and injuries. that
Yeah.
take place. So, but other than that, the San Francisco 49ers, we know what they are. It's just a matter of where are they going to be when we get to the postseason. They'll more than likely be the number one seed, home field advantage. Now, can somebody go in there and beat them? That's where it gets interesting.
Where so many of us have gotten caught up in the Brock Purdy conversation is that, and I'm guilty of it as much as anyone else, especially going into the Super Bowl last year, because we want to make everything an either or proposition, right? Oh, well, it's Purdy and Mahomes. We know who the best quarterback in the league is. And then rather than saying, yeah, but Purdy's pretty damn good too, we go, yeah, it's Brock Purdy. I know. You know what I mean? We want to so clearly define this as a binary argument. Brock Purdy is either an MVP candidate or Brock Purdy's Mr. Irrelevant and has just gotten lucky. And I think there's so much gray area in between that it belies the fact that Purdy's really good. Not the best in the league, no, but nobody's arguing that. All we're arguing is that he's pretty good. And when a guy's number is at 26 and a half touchdowns a year after he threw 31 with this assortment of weapons around him, I mean, I tend to think that betting Brock Purdy over in touchdowns, Brock Purdy over in passing yardage, 3,900, like I said, when he nearly threw for 4,300 last year, those are the way to go. Again, assuming most of those pieces remain in place, and we know CMC will be, we know Debo's going to be there. It sounds increasingly like Ayuk will be around. It's just a matter of when. Trent Williams is actually the one that I would be most concerned about now as a Niners fan, Corey. If he doesn't
Yeah.
come in at some point, Joe brought this up the other day. Like, if you're Trent Williams at this age, at this point in your career, it's not crazy, given the money you've made, given the career you've had, to go, yeah, you know what? I've been in the league for a decade and a half, and I'm 36. I don't need all this anymore. I'd like to take some tread, not take any more tread off the tires. I'll be seeing you now. Goodbye. If I don't get what I want, like a guy who can legitimately retire rather than show up for the season is a worry for me if I'm a Niners fan, given how important he is to the Niners offense.
I would look at the Trent Williams situation a different way. I'm from the 49ers general manager. I'm like, fine, go. I don't need you here, Trent Williams, right now. I don't want to see Trent Williams until the Tuesday or the Wednesday before the first week. That's when I expect Trent Williams to be ready. Solid pro, going to go down as a first ballot Hall of Famer, running the greatest offensive lineman to ever play the game. So I don't need him in camp right now. I'm going to make sure I get his money right. He's holding out for real. I'm going to make sure I get his money right. I don't want him. I don't want some third string defensive lineman stepping on this guy's ankle or something like that. And now I got
Right.
to miss Trent Williams for a significant period of time. No, I trust you to take care of yourself, take care of your body, and come in here ready and willing to go. So I don't want to see Trent Williams until it's time to go. That's where I stand on Williams. Now, you mentioned about Purdy. If you look at San Francisco, I mean, would you rather have the Lions quarterback situation or the Niners quarterback situation? Would you rather have the Cowboys quarterback situation or the Niners quarterback situation? You'd rather have the Packers situation or the Niners situation? I probably would only take the Packers. I'm a big Jordan Love guy.
Yeah, I think, the question with Purdy is how much are you going to have to pay him? Like, it comes back around to that where we started the conversation, and you can get away without paying him for another year or two, right? Or
Yeah.
waiting to extend him. So I think in that case, yeah, when we talk about cost effectiveness, it's all about succeeding and winning in this league now, if you can, on a quarterback's first contract. And the Niners can
Yep.
still do that with Purdy. And that gives them the ability to give Trent Williams a little bit more, bring him back for another season. That gives them the ability to, I don't know if they end up caving a bit to Ayuk and giving him a little bit more than they're comfortable giving him, doing that. Those are the kind of things they can get away with as long as they have a quarterback on a rookie deal. You can also get away with a lot on offense when you've got clearly the best running back, especially dual threat, dual purpose running back in the league. Christian McCaffrey, his props for the season, Corey: 1,125 rushing yards and a hook, 500 receiving yards, 10 and a half rushing touchdowns. all of those would be well over the numbers that he hit last year. The closest would be the receiving yardage number, which he caught 564 yards receiving last year. Again, the number at 500. But I mean, man went off for nearly 1,500 yards rushing. I think I'll take the over on 1125. Although he has only gone over that two other times in his 5-year career to this point.
You can't really project a running back to play 17 games in today's NFL, but Christian McCaffrey is also a guy who's dealt with injuries in the past. But as we get ready to go into the month of August, if you have the first pick in your fantasy draft, don't get cute. Christian McCaffrey is the pick. The offense is too fantasy friendly. He's too much involved in the offense. This is a guy that could put up 30 fantasy points a game. Don't get cute. If you got the first pick, take Christian McCaffrey. He can have you in the mix at the end. So I like McCaffrey a lot coming into the season. You kind of worry about the injuries, right? That's really the only matter. Elijah Wilson, the guy that's, coming in behind him, if he does have situation where he does have to miss time, not as talented, but can still keep the offense going. So I'm all in on CMC. First pick of the draft. Listen, for the most part, Christian McCaffrey and Tyreek Hill and Justin Jefferson have been the three best offensive players in the league for probably the last 3 to 5 years. So no reason to get too cute. CMC is the man.